Negative Effects of Objectification by Objectification. Objectification, treating a person as a thing without regard to their dignity. In this presentation, I will use citations from Concrete Abyss by Lisa Gunther, Objectification by Martha Nussbaum, and two films, Fruitvale Station and Hustle and Flow. The article Concrete Abyss discusses the confinement of a guy who refers to himself as Five. Five spent 5 years in solitary confinement, and he said that he began to feel as though he was diminishing. When in solitary confinement, you are limited to a small space of a room, and nothing but green walls and a solid steel door. You literally have no contact with any other humans, your food is pushed through a door slot, and there is a cage outside of the cell for 1 hour of so-called recreation per day. Five says that time began to have no meaning. The lights were on 24 hours a day, and he paced the room learning every inch of each wall. He felt invisible. What Five says he learned was that human contact makes existence absolute. The loss of contact creates the loss of identity, making him feel like nothing. This directly correlates to objectification because solitary confinement creates a sense of nothingness as a human. The author of this article spoke about the analogy of perception of a teapot. From a non-theologist's view, one would describe the teapot merely by its color and description. But when you look at it as a separate entity from human, it becomes three-dimensional. Solitary confinement makes a person feel as though they are nothing, and it can literally drive someone insane. Objectification. In Nussbaum's article, she says that there are 7 characteristics of objectification: instrumentality, denial of autonomy, inertness, fungibility, violability, ownership, and the denial of subjectivity. Not all characteristics need to be present in order for objectification to occur. And same goes that if some are present, it does not mean that objectification is occurring. In this article, Nussbaum uses the analogy of a pen and a painting. They are both inanimate objects. The pen has fungibility and viability, meaning it can be destroyed and then replaced, whereas the painting is precious, and it may not be able to be replaced the same way as the pen. Nussbaum's article is mainly focused on objectification in correlation to sexuality, and whether or not a sexual relationship can happen with or without reducing a person. When objectification occurs, the objectifier uses their power to make the objectified feel inferior to them, and treating them as if they were just an object described. In class, we watched 2 films, both involving objectification. In Fruitvale Station, this film is based off a true story of the killing of Oscar Grant. Objectification is directly part of this film. The killing of Oscar Grant took place in Fruitvale Station due to a fight on the train. The fight on the train involved men of different races, although when the cops were called, the only ones pulled off of the train were the black men. Aside from the racial profiling, when the cops held the men in front of the crowd, they were treating Oscar and his friends like they were nothing, continuously beating and making up excuses to tase or intentionally hurt the men, all leading up to the shooting of Oscar. And even after Oscar was shot and he was suffering on the ground, the cops treated him as if he was an object rather than a human being. We also watched the movie Hustle and Flow. This film was the story of a pimp from the streets aspiring to be a rapper, DJ. DJ treated all women in this film as if they were objects. For example, the mother of his child, he easily tossed her out of his house, leaving her to the streets to fend for herself and the baby without him. The woman he was dating, he treated inferior no matter how much she gave him. And lastly, his sidekick Nala. The objectification came to a halt towards the end when DJ realized he actually loved the woman he was with, as well as how much he did care about Nala. Nala broke down saying she wanted to do something important with her life, and what she was doing with her life right now, it was not fulfilling. A lot of it had to do with the way Dee treated her, and objectification needs to end. In conclusion, objectification can affect people negatively in many different ways. This is a form of making one feel as though they are nothing, such as the solitary confinement situation, where you are literally made to be alone, and your feeling of self begins to disintegrate. In Fruitvale Station, the cops were objectifying Oscar and his friends, and in Hustle and Flow, Dee treated all the women as if they were objects rather than humans.